In this video, we'll be taking a look at what is known as transform orientation. It's a really good concept and it makes your life a lot easier. So far we've seen how we have this coordinate system in our 3D world where we have three axes, X, Y, and Z. But there are certain situations where we want to change that. So to look at this better, let's say that I have this object and let's go ahead and activate the move tool. And you can see that this gizmo or this manipulator is aligned to our world axes, X, Y, and Z. But let's say that I want to move this object diagonally in this direction. So with this current manipulator, you can see that I have to do it in 2 steps, and it's not very precise and sort of a bit annoying to do. So I'm going to go ahead and press Ctrl Z. That's where we can use our transform orientation. So this first button on the header is called transform orientation. You can click here and it's going to open up this drop down. By default, you can see our manipulator is aligned to our global axes. So this is our world axis. Next, we have local. So each object in Blender also has its own axes. And to look at this better, let's go ahead and press R to rotate along Z axis and rotate the object like this. So you can see even though my object is rotated, that manipulator is still aligned to world. Now we can go ahead and change that and set it to local, and you can see immediately it changes. So now we're using the coordinate system of this object that we have here. So each object also has its own sort of local coordinate system. And now I can just very simply sort of drag it here. And we're going to go ahead and press Ctrl Z. Now, if you want to do this with keyboard shortcuts, that's pretty simple. You don't have to switch through this menu. So if I press G to grab and then I press Y, it's going to align to the Y axis. And if you look in the top left corner, it says distance and then it says along global Y, which means we're using our world coordinate system. If you press Y again, now you can see that it says along local Y, and I can just move it locally on the object Y axis. So I'll go ahead and press Ctrl Z. There are a few more options. So the next one is normal, and this is a little different. So let's go ahead and rotate our object back by pressing Ctrl Z. Now we're going to tap into edit mode, and you can press Ctrl B. This is going to let you bevel your object. Now the reason we're doing this is that so that we can get an extra face in this area. Now if you click on this icon here, it says mesh edit overlays. Down here you have normals, and here you can click on this one that says display normal. Now in these 3D objects we have a pointing direction of a face. So you can see that each face has a normal, so it tells you which direction this face is pointing in. So that's where you can use this third option, normal. It's useful in situations like this. So if I switch to face selection mode and select this face, and now with my move tool activated, you can see that by default we're using our global, so that's not going to be really helpful in this case. And then if we go to local, that's not helpful either. And finally, we can go to normal, and now you can see that it's properly aligned, and I can move this object diagonally when I'm editing parts of my object. So that's where you would want to use this normal. Let's go ahead and tap out of edit mode, and I'm going to go ahead and delete this object and add a new mesh object. So let's go ahead and add a new cube. Next, we have gimbal. This is going to be a bit advanced for now, so we're going to just skip over it. Next, we have our view. So this basically aligns it to your view. So as you rotate the view, you can see how that manipulator sort of also changes. So these are some of the most commonly used ones. There's a 3D cursor one that's going to align to this 3D cursor that you have in 3D World. But again, that's going to be a bit advanced for now. So most of the time you'll be using a normal, a local, and global. So that's what's I use like 99% of the time. So that's how you can use a transform orientation in Blender.